What is up guys, Zach here from the Chaos Galaxy, and today I've been doing some new art. So I thought I'd do a speed art video. I've not done one of these in about 2 years, but it's for an archetype that I've done for the upcoming Legendary Collection Sindian called the Shape Knights, which I'm really excited about. I'm not going to spoil what the cards do yet, but I'm going to show you all the artwork and how I drew it. And it's really fun. This is a retrain of an old archetype that I did for a game that I made whilst I was growing up. So it's nice to see the contrast between my old childhood drawings and my drawings now. I've got my head in the corner like a proper YouTuber. But these are the old, I thought I'd show you the old Shape Knights first. They start with the basic Shape Knight Lionel, like a line, which is actually my grandfather's name as well. And then Trongulus is a 3-star, Squaw is a 4-star, like the size of the shape. Hexic was the 6-star, and then, where is he? And then we've got Octorious, the big daddy, who is the final boss for them, basically. So I'd already drawn the new versions of Lionel and Triangulus before I had the idea of doing a speed art video. So they're already done. But I started this video by redesigning Shape Knight Squaw, which I think I'm going to rename to Squan. It's weird. I think square is a cool word, but if you try and change it into something, it just sounds a bit goofy. But start off by drawing its body, and I really liked Squaw in the old game Evolvers. But I wanted it to look more 3D. I wanted it to have a pose like it's sort of attacking you. And I wanted its weapons to look more square. The old version just had like a scimitar type sword. So I wanted to make it more 3D and make it more squarey with this like giant cube flail weapons that look like they're really moving quickly with like the go fast lines. Then once I've done the pencil drawing, I'll go over my drawing in fine liner pen. I use a 0.3mm fine liner. I kept the same expression, the same armor, the same overall shape as a nice homage to the original. After I've done that, I erase the pencil behind the pen and get out my Copic markers. I'll choose a few pens that I think will make a good color palette. So I've done like a light blue, a medium blue, and then a dark blue. I think it's nice to draw the face in a light blue because then you'll get the black lines of the features standing out more. Like if you have a dark background with dark eyes, it's sometimes quite hard to look at the expression. And I think this works really well. A nice bit of shading that I managed to get on the weapons as well, really make them look like they're moving out at you. And I think Squaw came out really well. Definitely looks like the original, but just updated for modern day. The next one we have is Hexic. Hexic was my favourite of the original Shape Knights in the old game, but I wanted to make him look like more of a beast, like a lot more muscular. I also decided to give him 6 limbs and change him into Hexator, like a centaur. So he's got 4 legs and 2 arms, 6 limbs linked to the hexagon. Hands are an absolute nightmare. They're my most difficult thing to draw, definitely. And then I tried to give him 6 fingers as well, because I thought that would be a good idea. I don't think it came out great. Things with 6 fingers look weird, because you're just so used to, as a human, looking at 5 fingers. So I didn't like that. But I thought most of his body came out really well. I really liked the sword too. Tried to keep the helmet the same. But I don't know if I prefer the overall look of the new one. I think it got a little bit too complicated, whereas the old version of Hexic just looked nice and simple. Just, you know what it was. It was a knight made of hexagons. But just going over him in pen now, I tried to get a lot of that like sort of muscle definition to make him really look like a stronger creature. Apologise for my hair getting in the way of the video. I have a tendency to like lean over my drawings as I do them. But really happy with his sword and his armour in general. I think I got the angle of his torso like that, sort of really well done. Going in then with my Copic markers, again using a lighter colour for the skin to bring out the details, but having his dark armour to contrast it nicely. That deep purple I think looks good against like the pink flesh. Get the same colour palette as well, a bit of orange there in his helmet, and then the shading to get like that metallic look on the sword. Thought I did quite a good job of that, so pleased with how Hexic came out in the end too. Before I get on to the boss, Octorious, which I'm sure is what you want to see, I always like to do a sort of environment card with my archetypes. I think it adds a lot of depth to like the story of the cards. So I made like a Shape Knight Arena. I haven't really got a name for a card yet, but I wanted it to be like a sort of gladiators arena. So what I do for this is I'll get a little mood board together of 4 or 5 images of cool like gladiator arenas and then sort of pick bits out that I like. And then draw it, obviously change a lot of bits so it's an original art. I'll add in some of the Shape Knight characters. You can see there's a squaw there in the foreground and a Trongulus in the background. And to really add depth, I had these crowds sort of coming around the side of the image to make it look a lot more 3D. But it's quite difficult drawing things like this that aren't organic shapes and creatures, because you've got to get a lot of the straight lines right, a lot of the perspective on certain shapes if they're higher or lower. It's pretty difficult, but once you practice it a lot, it kind of becomes a bit easier. Although this card doesn't look perfect. And then for the crowds, because I wanted the focus to be on the Shape Knights in the arena, I just drew the crowd as like very basic, not even full circles coloured in, just like sort of semicircles that sort of resemble heads but aren't going to take the focus off what's actually going on inside the arena of the card. Then adding some textures to the crowds and like the bricks in the arena. Just doing some tiny coloured dots for the heads to make it look like there's loads of these Shape Knights in the crowd watching this battle go on. So that's the Shape Knight arena. And now we're on to the big boss, Octorious. I was thinking of making him as a dodecahedron and calling him Dodecahedrodon, but a dodecahedron is a 12-sided shape made of pentagons, and I'm not even going to attempt to draw one of those, let alone loads of them making a complete like person. So I decided to go with Octorious again. 8-sided creature, is going to be an 8-star creature in the galaxy. Quite cool. Made himself a little sword out of octagons, tried to make his head an octagon and his body an octagon with all the smaller shapes going on inside him as a sort of link to all the other characters. And then I wanted to make him quite 3D looking as well, because I'd done that with Squaw and Hexitor. So I've given him this sword sort of pointing straight towards you, as well as another hand reaching out like this. I thought having 2 arms he didn't really look powerful enough, so I just gave him 2 more arms, why not? And then I wanted him to have 8 limbs, because I'd done Hexic with 6 limbs, so I gave him these 2 other like branching out limbs, sort of like half limbs, not really, they're more just parts of his armour, but he has got like 8 things coming off his body, so it almost looks like he's got 8 limbs linking back to the octagon. Then gave him like octagon shaped knee pads and like elbow pads, which were quite hard to kind of get right, and I had to use a bit of creative licensing and simplify them a bit. Made his swords out of octagons as well. And then, because he's the boss, I gave him like this sort of decorative armor with all the other shapes, of all the knights on there as well, to really link the archetype together, I suppose. Now, just finishing up the shading and then erasing the pencil behind my drawing as well. As you can see, he's quite a bit bigger than the other drawings I've done. To get more detail, he takes about up a third of a sheet of standard printer paper, so he's quite big. I was filming this video and my camera ran out of memory space, so I had to stop, but I was still in like drawing mode. So I carried on drawing some other creatures for the Planetary Collection. You can see a little squaz there for the planet Sindian on the right of the page. But just going on to the shading now, again, making his sword look metallic, but I didn't want it to just be like a silver sword, because the yellow isn't that bold coming out the colour anyway, so I gave him like blue weapons and a blue sort of secondary body, just to add a bit more sort of excitement to the drawing rather than just different shades of yellow. Then added a few extra colours in as well, because he's the boss. I didn't just want him sort of like as one colour. I want to add as much sort of vibrancy to him as possible and make him look like a standout card amongst these weaker cards. If anything though, I think I added a bit too much of these other colours to his artwork, and he kind of looks like one of those child's play castles that has like a square hole, a triangle hole, and you put the shapes in. If one of those was a transformer, this is kind of what it would look like. So it's maybe a bit too childish looking, but I'm happy with the way he came out overall. And that's it, that's the speed art video for the archetype. The archetype's abilities and stats aren't quite done yet, so if you have any suggestions for how they should play, I have some idea, but if you want to suggest things in the comments maybe, that would be really cool. I do like my cards to have links to the storyline behind them, so if there was something to do with like numbers or maths in the card abilities, that would be really great. to just add even more depth to this archetype. But I will probably in my next video go through each of the cards for the archetype. Really excited to show you what they all do. But thanks for watching. Hope you learn a bit from this speed art video. Please like, comment, subscribe, get your hands on some packs, and stay tuned for more Chaos Galaxy content coming soon. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.